Welcome to the unforgiving landscape of the American Southwest, a place where the scorching heat and absolute dryness test the will of everything that lives here. But in this challenging world, one animal has chosen a different path to survival, a true icon of speed. Meet the Greater Roadrunner. It's a bird, yes, but it's chosen its legs over its wings to conquer the desert floor. Capable of reaching speeds up to 20 miles per hour, it is a phantom that vanishes into the sand. The world of predators suddenly grinds to a halt. A male roadrunner has just snatched up a whiptail lizard. You'd think this is just another tasty meal, another turn in the cold cycle of life and death. But you'd be wrong. In this land, precision is the only currency that matters. But this trophy isn't for him. The cold-blooded assassin has just transformed into a determined suitor. He holds that lizard firm, presenting it as a precious dowry, a proud, high-stakes invitation to his future mate. A survival pact is about to be forged. And she said yes. The dowry is accepted, and the contract is officially signed. Bathed in the golden glow of the desert sunset, the two begin an instinctive dance of affection. Gentle beak taps and lingering stares. This is the frontier's version of a first date. Gritty, raw, and undeniably intense. Against a horizon that looks straight out of a Hollywood epic, they stand together. No longer lone hunters, but a desert power couple. But in a place this harsh, romance isn't just about whispered vows under the stars, it's about tactical action. As night falls, the honeymoon phase gives way to parental instinct. They know that to protect this legacy, they're going to need a fortress. A partnership is forged. The Roadrunner pair now works together to build a home. They meticulously collect dry branches, carefully weaving a nest deep within the relative safety of a dense thicket, or even more remarkably, amidst the sharp, protective spines of a cholla cactus. This is their fortress, a structure designed to guard their offspring from the intense sun and any potential threats. Eggs are laid and the responsibilities are shared. The male and female take turns incubating the eggs, protecting them from the searing heat during the day and the cold at night. Patience and dedication. The desert, however, never rests. Danger is always close, and the single greatest threat to a bird's nest is a relentless predator, the rattlesnake. It hunts not just with its venom, but with a psychological weapon. That signature rattle is a warning, the sound of impending death. That rhythmic rattle. It's the oldest, most hypnotic trick in the desert. The Roadrunner zooms in like a heat-seeking missile, convinced it's found an easy snack. But just feet away from the strike zone, it hits the brakes. Instinct whispers a warning. Something is wrong. And that hunch saves its life. Suddenly, the sand explodes. Beneath the dust, the Reaper of the Sands reveals itself. The rattlesnake lunges like a coiled steel spring, a blur of scales and venom aimed straight for the kill. But in this high-stakes game, the Roadrunner's reflexes are elite. In a split-second blur, its natural agility snatches it from the jaws of certain death. It bolts, rocketing away to outrun the screaming death machine left in its wake. It's a narrow escape, a cold reminder that in the desert, your first doubt is often your only lifeline. The snake does not give up. It silently slithers past the towering saguaro cacti, heading toward the nest. At the same moment, something miraculous happens. The eggshell begins to crack. The first hatchlings are born, fragile, yet full of longing for life. The scent of new life, however, unintentionally guides the predator closer. After weeks of relentless devotion, the mother finally leaves the sanctuary to find supplies. It's a necessary gamble. At that exact moment, the eggs begin to stir. The shells give way, and fragile new lives burst into this dust-choked world. Now the clock starts ticking. The parents are in a feeding frenzy, scouring the desert floor for every cricket and grasshopper to fuel their hungry brood. But this hustle comes with a deadly cost. The scent of new life, raw and vulnerable, is acting like a dinner bell for every rattlesnake in the territory. In the distance, the parents are locked in the hunt, focused on the protein that will secure their legacy. They are completely oblivious to the ticking clock. Their chicks are exposed, unguarded, and the silent reaper is closing the gap. In the desert, silence isn't peace. It's the sound of a predator on the move. The serpent begins its gravity-defying climb, weaving through a minefield of thorns toward the prize. For the chicks, it's a living nightmare. They are defenseless, sitting ducks in a fortress that's suddenly feeling very small. But miles away, something clicks. A mother's intuition, a survival radar honed by millions of years, is flashing red. She drops the hunt and hits top gear, a blur of feathers and fury kicking up a dust trail across the dunes as she races home. Fortune favors the brave. She arrives in the nick of time, standing tall between her legacy and the venomous reaper. Faced with a mother who has everything to lose, the rattlesnake calculates the odds. The risk is too high. The predator is forced to slink back into the shadows with an empty belly. The desert is a cruel teacher, but today, the lesson is simple. Never underestimate a parent on the warpath. This was their first lesson in the world's most brutal classroom, and there is no curve for grading here. For these chicks, the rattle of a snake and the searing heat of the sand aren't just threats, they are the opening chapters in the manual of survival. The world beyond the nest remains a gauntlet of shadows, from the piercing eyes of hawks circling above to the lethal strikes hidden beneath the dust. One day they will have to face the same reapers their parents once defied. It is an eternal cycle of legacy and instinct. As the sun sets once more behind the towering saguaros, a new generation of Greater Roadrunners has learned the true cost of living. They haven't just inherited their parents' speed, they've inherited the iron will of the West's greatest survivors.